Dad Gang is taking over the nation right now. Is there a secret sauce?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea if there is. There's a lot of dads, and we hit a market that was very necessary. Dads needed something that wasn't corny or funny, and I think that might be the secret sauce.
Okay, very good. Guys, today you're listening
Yeah.
to the All Sports Best podcast. I'm Trey Gonzalez, and today I'm joined by Bart Szaniewski of Dad Gang. And we've actually had Bart on the podcast before in 2019. We'll get into that as well. But Dad Gang's taken off. It's huge. I want to just dive right in. We'll get into all the extra
Yeah.
details. But Dad Gang is so big. And my theory is it resonates with people that want to have like something cool. I think hats are huge right now, maybe bigger than ever. But you saw an organic growth more than anything, and you're a marketing guy. So that was a shocker,
Yeah.
right? Like what went into all of that?
Yeah, as you said, like I come from a background of marketing and agencies and D2C this and that. Um, and so I've worked with a ton of brands and helped grow brands over time. But um, a lot of people even use the term like organic growth as a term to help like bolster up something that maybe even isn't that organic.
Sure.
Whereas we literally, and I've told this story a few times now, but we started in my garage at our house with just 100 hats. We actually weren't even in a garage at that point. It was like 100 hats. You don't even need a garage. That's like one little box. So,
Sure.
yeah, 100 hats. Co-founded the company with Grant and EJ. So the three of us were like, "Hey, let's do this together." And we had wanted to start something for a while. Had no idea what it was, and we're all dads, so we were always in this text thread, not necessarily chatting about business at all, just chatting about dad stuff, our days, running, working
Mm.
out, and we talk about kind of when you have a tough day with kids and you have a packed day that you're just completely spent, you just want to collapse on the couch, but you can't
Oh yeah.
because of life and being dads and everything, and we always just throw that term around. It was just like dad gang. What are
Mm.
what are you gonna do if you're in dad gang? It's the greatest responsibility, and it's just something that you have to own. But then at the same time, we didn't see like this. We didn't see anything that represented the hardships or like the tough parts of being a dad,
Yeah.
and the great parts also. And there are funny parts of being a dad, but I feel like on social media that was the only thing we were getting served was like New Balance kicks, mowing the lawn, mustaches,
Oh
like
yeah.
the yeah. And so that's all you were getting as a dad, and then moms were getting all this like, and I've said this too, is like beautiful jewelry, meaningful things, mom with the daughter's name on the other side with a heart split in half, like, and you join them together with all
Oh
these like
yeah.
emotional, sentimental things, and you're like, okay, there's got to be more to being a dad than just jokes and mowing the lawn. And so, um, just like I went out and got a sample made, and this kind of goes back to my stride line days. Like I've worked with so many manufacturers and people that make products that I love this style of hat. The style of hat you're wearing is
Yep.
an A frame. It's called an A frame or a K frame, depending on the opening here. Snapback, and it's a popular hat right now. So I'm like, let's put Dad Gang on a hat, and a hat that is one that is already being worn by many,
Yeah.
and let's see how it does. So there was no, I know this is getting pretty long-winded, but there was no
No.
pressure to like to build a brand at all. It was literally, let's make 100 hats,
Yeah.
because that was the like factory minimum at the time, and let's see what happens. And a bunch of friends and family bought some. We all posted on Instagram like, hey, we made some hats. If you want one, here's the link. Quick Shopify store, and those 100 hats sold out in like less than 36 hours.
Wow.
But not not because of any like crazy marketing things
Mhm.
whatsoever. It was just like friends and family supporting, which people will do. You know, your kid has a candy selling fundraiser. First person you go to is friends and family.
Right.
Um, so the marketer that I've been would say, okay, whatever, friends and family supported, not really a successful company or anything here. But
Mm.
let's try it again. Let's do another 100. So we sold another 100 um, pretty quickly again, and then ordered 300. That was like a massive swing for us at the time. Was let's order 300, and so they just kept selling out, and the longer we kept doing that, like selling out and reordering, um, the less friends and family we started to see in those order numbers, and the more complete strangers. So it was like
Mm.
something's happening here with either like word of mouth or um, these are things that are getting seen, and all you really ever need to like start anything meaningful is just like a little flame,
Yeah.
a little spark. And I think we got that from that first 100 hats. And then once there was a little bit of momentum, we just kept going, selling out, reordering. And it was just a black trucker hat that said Dab Gang on it. So we never
Yeah.
switched styles or anything for the longest time. It was just that hat, because anybody can wear, just like you are right now, anybody can wear black and white with literally anything. Um, so that worked really well. And then I started, and this is like an old strategy, but I just started boosting our best performing organic posts on Instagram.
Mm.
Um, and to dumb it down even more, it was like holding a hat, a picture of it in portrait mode, and that was like the best performing creative, because it was just a nice clean photo of a trucker hat that said Dad Gang on it. um, but I kept reboosting that one, and we're talking like $10 a day.
Oh,
So
wow.
10, $20 a day to boost that post, and hitting, instead of hitting like for more sales or more conversions, I would just say for profile visits, which also
Mm.
most marketers would be like, the hell are you doing? You need sales. But I was just like, no, I just want more eyes on the brand,
Sure.
and on that creative, and hopefully they'll turn into spenders at some point. But I think with us, the whole thing has always just been like, let's really build a community, and let's really mean it, instead of, let's sell some kind of supplement and build a community around that. Like, let's create real feelings and emotions around the brand before we go chase a ton of sales and conversions.
Mm.
um, and that's still the vibe here. I would say it's like we don't stress over like sales and conversions. We're like, what's the community doing? Are we getting content? What are people saying? Like, are we getting consistent like stories about us? That kind of stuff is, I don't know, much more meaningful than like stressing about return on ad spend.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I've definitely seen it because I followed you from since 2019 when we had our interview. We talked about you being VP of marketing and of brand, I
Yeah.
believe, for Strideline.
Yeah.
And so you were killing it there. You moved forward, like I said, kept following you, and I'd see these things and I'm like, oh, these are really cool. I wasn't a dad until a year ago. So it didn't really, I was
Yeah.
like, I can totally see why people like it. I mean, it's a simple, easy design. That's actually one of the things I wanted to kind of touch in on. How did you come up with the design? Because as easy and as simple as a design might be, in this case it is, it's
Hmm.
very cool. But it's a bold cursive, very nice looking, very clean. What made you think guys are going to like that or not?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so EJ, who is one of the co-founders, he's always been he's worked in operations roles, but then he's also just been a designer. He could do both. He's both an ops guy and a design guy. And this is funny. We were actually looking through like really old text when this whole thing started the other day, and I was like, "Hey EJ, I love this kind of like, I don't even know how to say it. It's almost like brewery cursive. Like
Yep,
it's like
totally. Totally is.
yeah, like an old retro fishing hat cursive. So I sent him like 6 different examples of the kind of cursive I was looking for. And it does have like this kind of what's the baseball company, like Rawlings?
Yep.
Yeah, like it's got that kind of font feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent back a couple versions, and that was one of them. I was like, okay, yeah, that I think that'll work. It's not, it doesn't have like these fancy like, I want to say like softer curves in it. It's still like bold enough and strong enough, but still like an elegant logo. So you definitely want to represent it in a way that you're not like, I don't know. It's just perfect in the way it came back. So
Yeah.
I was like, yep, that's the one. Let's try it. Slap it on a hat. Let's go. Like there was no. I think there's a lot of like analysis paralysis and like logo creation,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a part of a lot of that with like building brands and stuff. Where you're spending months and months debating a logo or a color, whereas like that business could have been going for months and months, but you wasted all of that time focusing on a logo.
Mm.
So let's like slap it on and try it and see how it does. 100 hats isn't a life risk, so it's like let's try it. And it did well. So like, okay, that logo works. Let's keep going. And
Yeah.
and we've tried other stuff. Like you have the Dad Gang seal on your front, which is
I love the
still that Dad Gang.
PVC.
Yeah, yeah, it's clean and it's a rubber and it's a little different, a little
Yeah.
stronger too. But like, it's still that Dad Gang cursive within a seal and some other elements. But EJ whipped that up, and we're like, okay, let's try it. If it doesn't sell, then let's not do it again. And we've had some of those hats where like all of our hats were blessed and fortunate enough that they sell out, but we kind of gauge how fast they sell out. So if something goes really quickly, they're like, okay, that's a hitter or whatever we want to call it, and let's make sure to keep making those. And now we've got like this D for Dad on the front. We've
Mm.
got our horsepower is like our best selling hat. So I've got that here, but this is like an extended
Yeah.
cursive
Love it. Same
across the
font though,
front, and
right? It's like the same font. It's just side by side.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, same font and just a little like it's just spread out a bit more and thinner. But this comes from um, when we at the time we were like dads love cars,
Yeah.
so it's like and then I've always been kind of indulged by like 90s Ferrari culture,
Mm.
but not from like a luxury standpoint, more on the like F1 standpoint.
Yep.
Um, Guys that wore like the iconic like red and yellow jumpsuits, but in the 90s, like when things were very like retro and boxy still. And I think that's back at the moment. That's why these hats work. Um, so that's kind of like it's called the horsepower because of the car inspiration and stuff. And but the inspiration comes from like an old racing culture.
Mm.
Um, and that's how that hat came to be. There's a few others that there's like a script that just says Dad Gang across the front, like really wide, and those are more like varsity letters.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and then we just try stuff. Like I'm just show some more hats
No,
here,
feel
but like
free.
like when you're alone with your kids,
Mm.
and your wife is gone, or you're just taking on like a tough situation. We made this hat because it says on
Ooh.
dad duty.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like it's got the rope, which not all of them have. It's a blue trucker, but like whenever we text with buddies that like couldn't hang out, they'd be like, "Oh, okay, I'm on dad duty." I was like, "Let's throw that on a hat." And when your wife is out of town, or these are personal experiences, but like out of
Yeah.
town or at brunch with her girls, you just you throw that hat on, and you're like, "All right, here we go." And it kind of helps you. It kind of helps you own that feeling of like,
Hmm.
hey, if I'm wearing my on dad duty hat, like I gotta like crush this. So when my wife or partner comes home, it's like, house is clean, kids are happy.
Yeah.
I crushed it. And then when she's back, you can take the hat off
You
or
chan
however you want to
you
do it.
channel it through the hat, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why this community is so strong. It's like we've got dads, and this is mind blowing to me, and I don't think I fully processed it still because it happens so often now. But like, dads are wearing these hats to the hospital for the birth of their kids,
I've seen
and
that.
they're yeah, they're wearing it for gender reveals, for baby showers, for pregnancy announcements, for first day home with the baby. Like, for a hat to be able to do that, and be a part of people's like life announcements when somebody's at the hospital with a dad gang hat on, that photo is going to live on until until they're out of here, until
Yeah.
they're, or when they're going through their old, I guess, digital albums. I don't know how we're going to view photos later on in
Right.
life, but
Exactly.
like,
I was thinking
yeah,
about that
like, this
earlier.
is the day you were born,
Hmm.
and the kid's gonna be like, "Oh, Dad, what's on your head?" And he's gonna have to tell them it's a dad gang hat.
So cool. That's a really good way of looking
Yeah,
at it. I've never even thought about what was I wearing? What was I doing? You're just in the moment. But when you predetermine that that's what you're going to wear, I think the brand's pretty special in that aspect. I think we're going to be viewing pictures maybe in 25 years in like, it's going to be like holograms or what do you call it? Where they just like pop up in the air.
but yeah, that's a hologram, I
Yeah,
think.
we're gonna do something like that. That's what we're gonna be viewing all of this stuff for. All right, so this is called the All Sports Best Podcast. How does this tie in with sports? It ties in a big way. As a matter of fact, you guys just did a collaboration with the Mookie Betts. It's not a name
Yeah.
you just throw around and people don't know who he is. He's a Los Angeles Dodger, a famous world champion, two-time world champion, I believe,
Hmm.
multi-time All-Star, and I think the third highest paid MLB player in the league. How did that come about? That was another organic partnership, right?
Yeah, another one that like, and anybody that's like in business, I really want to stress, like, I did a lot of grinding for like 12 years of really stressed out company owners. Not all of them, but like working in an agency, I so many like companies ran by people that are just stressed out about numbers. So and I think EJ and Grant share the sentiment too, where it's like, if we're going to run this company, we're not going to force anything, and we're not going to stress about things that don't need to be stressed about. Don't invent new stress because it's completely unnecessary. So when I say don't chase anything, we also don't really chase partnerships or collabs, and that's what happened here with Mookie. Was like, there's actually, it's funny because we spoke with him a bit more. He talked about it on camera, but a bit more off camera.
Hmm.
But he himself was seeing dad gang everywhere. So it's like, I think, and I'm not sure the order of this story, and you know, but I know that his wife got him a hat.
Okay.
Um, Grant, our other co-founder, worked with a stylist in LA to also get Mookie hats at one point,
Wow.
and then while they were in Seattle, for to play the Mariners, him and his guys also ran into some people that were wearing dad gang hats.
Hmm.
Um, and so it was like constantly appearing in his life and in his friend's life, because we did the collaboration with Mookie Betts and One Marketing Group, which is like his own media company with his two buddies that he started. So those guys kept saying "Dad Gang," and one thing led to another. We got reached out to, um, through, I forgot what platform, but we got reached out to by somebody that knew them and said they wanted to talk to us. And then we talked to them, and it was still just kind of like organic. The conversation was like, man, we really love that Mookie is wearing the hats
Yeah.
all the time.
Wow.
He was wearing them to games, on the plane, in his posts, like nothing forced, nothing paid, just completely organic. And um, we just got to talking a little bit more, and then it was like, hey, how would you guys like to do a hat together and build some content around that, but keeping fatherhood and being a dad at the forefront. Like, yes, we sold a great hat, it sold out, collaboration went super well, but the stories that we got to like tell each other and
Hmm.
put out like a half an hour interview with Mookie Betts, one of the greatest ever.
Right.
uh that's what makes this special. Like, we still aren't forcing sales and all these things. Like, So yeah, he kept wearing it. Grant, who I mentioned a few times now, he's other co-founder, like way more into baseball than any of us. Like
Mm,
grew up playing baseball since he was like 4. He coaches his son now, is really in the scene in LA. Like he, just blown away about this opportunity, and so am I. But yeah, you kind of sit back and you're like, wow, we just did that with one of the most well-known names in baseball,
yeah.
and completely organically, and we hope to do a lot more of that. We're definitely talking about doing more together now, but want to keep that organic thread going throughout the whole thing, because otherwise I feel like people can just sniff through like a forced conversation these days.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You guys sold out. 5,000 hats sold out within how fast was it?
Like 14 days.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
But yeah, that collaboration was great too, because you are doing it with one player that's on one team, right? But Mookie's got infinite reach. He is just one of those like household names in baseball, whether you're a Dodgers fan or not. And we also didn't want to like over focus on baseball. That was the other thing, is like he's a great dad, and he is another guy that's going through fatherhood stuff with all of us.
Right.
We are not we are not on the same playing field when it comes to finances, athletics,
Sure.
sports, or anything. But when we sit down and talk about being dads, we all relate instantly. Strip all of that away. We're just two guys talking about fatherhood, or in our case, 6 guys talking about fatherhood and what it takes. So, yeah, that was the beauty of it, and I think he mentioned that in our video. It's just like, I know what you're going through, you know what I'm going through, and like, screw everything else. We can share this conversation together,
Hmm.
because we're dads, and it doesn't matter where we are in life. We kind of all know what it takes, and the like responsibility that comes behind it.
Sure. What are some of the athletes outside of Mookie that you've seen, or celebrities? Because it's celebrities as well. That you've seen that you're
Yeah,
just like, whoa, they have my hat on. That was like an eye opener.
yeah. I think one of the shocking ones was, because don't get me wrong, we've sent hats to NFL and MLB players before. It's not like everything is like we won't send a hat to a celebrity, but
Yeah.
Russell Wilson was like
Mm.
the most random one. We were even like, it happened, and then EJ Grant and I were in a text thread, and we're like, who sent him one? How did this happen? What's going on? And I think EJ was like, man, I'm still trying to figure out how he got that hat. And I'm like, well, we have a website. I think he bought it.
Yeah, that's
Or
wild.
somebody, I don't know if Russell Wilson does his own shopping at this point, but like, maybe Sierra or one of their assistants or stylists bought it for him. So that was a really cool one, because Sierra's pregnant, or was at the time, and then Russell Wilson rented out an entire Waffle House for her birthday,
Hmm.
and it was all over the media. Like Russell Wilson rents out Waffle House for Sierra, and so everywhere, like TMZ, ESPN, Bleacher Report, Barstool, all of those outlets were just sharing that video with, like, the only thing you could obviously see is Russell Wilson in a white dad gang hat. So it's like really cool to get that free media. Thank you, Russ.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was really, really random to be like, whoa, Russell Wilson has a dad gang hat.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, a few others, like we've had a few Seahawks wear it here, and then like Jawan Johnson on the Saints, their tight end is always wearing a dad gang hat. Mariners, Marco Gonzalez, we recently, or he's off to Pittsburgh now, but Marco Gonzalez, and like recently got hats to Ty France.
That's
Um,
cool.
and then like NBA side, we've gotten Drew Holiday on the Celtics recently. Um, so yeah, there's like a few, I think, names that people will like know right off the bat. Dwayne Wade wore one for a while, so that was also one that were like, people hit you up and they're like, dude, you see Dwayne Wade's story or his IG, and um, So yeah, it keeps popping up, but like as much as we appreciate the athletes wearing them, I love seeing customers wear them and tag us in their stories because we have our stories are always like at least 30 pieces full on Instagram of of a dad tagging dad gang. And not to like stereotype anything, but us men, busy dads, I don't think we go and share products that much on our
No,
stories.
100%. I agree. That was actually what I was going to ask you. What I was going to ask you next was how important it is. Like you have a marketing background. We talk about how organic this is, but at the same time, how important it is to just do something so small as to go, oh, cool. Like you shared this. We're going to put it on our story. We're going to highlight you as, 24 hours. But people go, that's really awesome. These are real people. That's like one of the biggest ways that you guys reach and actually like touch people, right?
Yeah. I really on my end, like both Grant and I spend a ton of time in the DMs and
Mm,
on the comments and stuff. And I really put an emphasis on if somebody spent money to support your product, go speak with them, right? If you were in a physical store and you walked into, say, mm, I don't know who goes shopping in a physical store. I'm just kidding, but like you go to Nordstrom
yeah.
and you spend your hard-earned money on anything, you expect help, you expect service, you expect a slight conversation, at least like, you know, how's your day going? How are you doing? Those kind of things. And so
Yeah.
if somebody tags us in a story, we're 100% reposting it unless somehow we missed it. And then not only that, we really like try and jump in and be like, "Oh my gosh, so cool. Congrats if it's a birth announcement.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you." Go get into back and forths about dad stuff. If somebody tags us and makes like a hard post, like an actual post on Instagram, then go and comment on that. Um, I think that's the only real way to build community, is having conversations. And we can't build a brand around relating to fatherhood without speaking about it to our customers. And so that's been true since day one. Like if you
Sure.
buy from us and you mention us, we're going to talk to you, and and customer service wise, like you should see Grant currently handles all the customer service, which is insane but great at the same time. And we have the funniest conversations sometimes where somebody will order something and the next day they'll be like, "Where's my order?" And
Mm.
we
You
we
have to,
can't ship that fast. I'm
right.
sorry, but like we have a very clear shipping policy on our website. But Grant would be like, "Man, I know you're a dad. I'm a dad too. I'm not Jeff Bezos. We don't have Amazon Prime. Like, let's be real here.
Yeah.
Our This is just a company ran by three dads in a 3PL warehouse. Like, we're going to ship your order right when we can. It says within 7 to 10 days. Usually we get it out within like 3 to 5.
Mm.
um, but that threshold is there for a reason. And so like we have real conversations with our customers, like, "Hey man, this is what it is, and your package is going out, like, and we appreciate you." And we'll just have
That's
real
awesome.
conversations to the point where we're like making friends in customer service.
Yeah. And that's really, truly rare because, customer service typically gets beaten and battered up. And so at that point, they're kind of like hardened. But you guys have found a way
Oh
to
yeah.
like soften it up and make people go, okay, I get it. Like, I totally understand. I mean, but
Yeah, there
shipping's hard. I mean, I don't even know. I know that like
yeah.
at the big levels, you find a way to get, I don't even know, I guess subscriptions or, partnerships with the way that, the mail service works. But I mean, I've done where somebody's like, "Hey, we want you to send us like a t-shirt, just like from my hometown, like a local t-shirt. Can you send us that?" And so I'm like, "Sure, whatever." And I'll send it. Don't worry about shipping. I get there and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should have told them, worry about shipping. It's expensive. So how do you guys
Yeah, and
like lower that?
um yeah, so we have a 3PL at this point, but from which for those that haven't heard the word 3PL before, it's just a warehouse that ships your packages
Okay.
um and stores your product. But we so from when the company started in my garage, that was too small to even fit like a Prius into. Wasn't even a real garage. I don't know why it was there. Um, so we started there, and I did that until November of 22, and then had my we had our second kid, our son, and so like, well, I can't ship packages and take care of a newborn and a almost 2 year old. So
Sure.
pass that on to EJ, and EJ did it from November to like Jan 1 of 23. But he did it like I passed it off to him during Black Friday, Cyber Monday season. So
Oh,
he did this is still early dad gang time, but like he did 1,100 orders out of his living room with his wife and his daughters, and even I think his in-laws came over to help, or his parents, um, to the point where they had like no living room, because
wow.
once you start taking like hats and then the boxes show up like unfolded, so you gotta fold them and then pack, and then labels and all this other stuff, like it takes up a lot of space. So at the end of that, both EJ and I are like, okay, we're getting a 3PL. Let's find somebody. So we partnered with my buddy Matt, who has a 3PL, um,
Wow.
and and through that, like the more volume you do, and depending on like who you use as your provider, we use ShipStation, which is like a pretty standard go-to for e-commerce. There's like Shippo and ShipBob, and ShipStation is just kind of like tried and true.
Mm.
Um, so we use them, and through ShipStation, you can. I almost feel like this is a commercial, but you can lower your rates uh, per shipment depending on how much volume you do, and then
Okay.
the 3PL gets their own kind of breaks depending on how much they're sending. But no shipping. I think the rates with USPS just got announced that they went up like 3 days ago again. So
Ooh.
yeah, you got to kind of play with what you want to charge for shipping, and what's you don't want to like you don't want to charge your customer a lot for shipping, because you want to keep it around, $5, I think is like the standard. Um, and then you want to also have a threshold of free shipping. If you spend enough with us, it's free shipping. So yeah, just using those softwares like ShipStation, and then having a 3PL once you're doing volume helps with rates. If you take a package today and go to the post office, you're going to get that top dollar rate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually want to I'm going to grab it really quick.
Yeah.
So I actually have the box right here. And
Oh,
like,
nice.
what's really cool about this is, well, you have your tape, which I absolutely battered it up, just jacked it up here, trying to open it. But you have
Yeah.
your tape, which comes in and it's like branded, which is really cool. And then what I liked about it a lot was that like my hat's not like in danger at all. You know, you want it to come in the exact
Yeah.
form. And I think what my favorite thing about like the way that it came in was that it's like like the hat is curved or the bill is curved, like it fits to your head well. It's got the perforated holes in the back, like all the things that me personally, as in a lot of the people that actually watch and listen to the podcast, love to play golf. And this is exactly what you want in New Mexico,
Yeah.
100-degree. You've got a cold beer, and you want your head to not be suffocating. It can breathe a little bit. So I mean, you guys did a
Yeah.
phenomenal job with this. So I got to say,
Appreciate that.
packaging just feels like you guys care. And I think that's big.
Yeah, it's a bit of like also not trying too hard, but making sure to protect the product. So like those boxes, the main thing was I bought a snapback hat from a higher end company and spent like $80 on a hat.
Wow.
And it came in smushed, like
Ooh, yeah.
f- f- and I had a customer service and they took care of it, which was great. But I was like, we need I think those are called Indestructo boxes.
Okay.
So you could probably smash it if you like took your fist down the middle of the top,
Yeah.
but the outside borders of it are like, you would hurt your hand if you tried to punch that. So
Yeah.
it it takes like, you'd have to stack a lot of weight on top of that hat in a truck to have it actually like collapse. So yeah, that was by design. It was just like, okay, let's find something tall enough so that like the tip of this hat here doesn't get pressed on, and then the hat frame itself doesn't get smushed, and then something wide enough to embody the whole thing. Um, and then we did have some issues like at first of when somebody would get a hat like right here, the cardboard would rub on it, and it wasn't like it ruined the hat, but there'd be a little cardboard dust on it. So now when we ship a hat, we put like a just a simple like tissue paper right
Yeah.
here, so
I
that
have it.
rubbing doesn't happen.
Okay. Yeah, and I got that right here too. So yeah, no, that is super attention to detail, and I think that people definitely like see that and go, you know what, I'm gonna buy another one, or I know that I liked it and I thought that this was really cool. I'm gonna like my buddy just became a dad, and then it kind of
Oh,
spreads that way.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So can we, if you don't mind, could we go, quickly Shark Tank style? How would you present it out to, I don't know, Mark Cuban?
We've sold in this year, we've sold over 80,000 hats.
Wow.
And that's from 100 hats in a tiny garage. I can tell you we don't spend that much on advertising to sell 80,000 hats, compared to how much people spend to get one sale. It's like our organic channels are so strong. So like texting, email, and just organic social in general are so strong when it comes to our audience actually being interactive. We also have and I think anybody that has a brand that's developing should do this, but we have a private Facebook group. So it's not hard to join. You just ask to join,
Yeah.
but it's just a group on Facebook that if you join it and I announce something or share, something coming up, everybody sees it. Whereas if I share anything on Instagram, I think the algorithm really shows it to maybe like 3% of your actual following.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then if you get enough comments and likes on it early, it'll expand and show it to more people. But we have, I think we're 116,000 followers today. If I post something, it's not like 116,000 people will see that.
Right.
They're probably, depending on their algorithm behavior. But if you have a little group, but our group has like a little over 4,000 people in it, but I'd rather speak to 4,000 people that are all listening instead of 116,000 that, 2% of them will see, or whatever that is that day. So, yeah, 80,000 hats, low ad spend. The Sharks would love this. It's still just three dads running the company.
There
So
you
it's not
go.
like we have no employees. All of our resources are us. So like customer service, design, marketing, all of that stuff is still in house, not outsourced to anybody. We have a 3PL partner, like I mentioned, that ships our hats, but they're
Sure.
not, we're a client of theirs. They're not a Dad Gang employee. And yeah, this month, December will be our biggest month ever, as far as sales and orders go. And before that, November was our biggest month ever. So it's kind of crazy to see because we've got Black Friday, Cyber Monday season,
Hmm.
which is D2C goes crazy for. Like it's a Super Bowl of e-commerce, and
Yeah.
we crushed all of November in like the first 12 days of December because of like I think we're a great stocking stuffer, and I think we're a great last minute like gift option. So a lot of that's been happening. And I think the Sharks would love that we could move quick. Like if I have an idea, if Grant has an idea, if EJ has an idea, and we're like, hey, put on dad duty on a hat, put a rope on it, and make it
Yeah.
blue and have it be a trucker. We're making that thing. We're getting samples back within like 5 days, and then
Wow.
we approve them, and then it's a go. So yeah, it's a low stress business. No outside investors, none of that
I
stuff.
love
So
that.
it's like just keeping it simple is like really what we want to do at all times. And I know with growth there are complications, and we face them, but they're not like after being in this game for so long. I'm just kind of like, is that stressful? Maybe, but we could probably approach it with a few solutions that don't actually stress us out.
Yeah.
So yeah, just keeping it simple for as long as we can.
Speaking of keeping it simple, I noticed that you guys put on, I don't know if it's on all of your hats or most of your hats, but it's the IYKYN. If you know, you know. Where did that come
Yeah.
from? And like, why did you decide, you know what, this is going to be part of who we are?
Yeah. That was another part of just being a dad. Like, you have your buddies that don't have kids, and you have kids,
Okay.
and you were probably that guy before you had kids, where
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, dude, it's not that hard. You know, aren't you sleeping? Just do something." Or the birth alone is something that you have no idea what that feels like emotionally, um, whatsoever. You have no clue until it happens to you. So if you know, you know, on the side of the hat is just like, it's the truth.
Yeah.
You really have no clue what being a dad is like until you are one. You don't understand the new joy, the new responsibility, the new hardships, and it goes beyond that too. Like, you know, beyond seeing the birth and becoming a dad. Like, I think men's mental health as a topic is becoming um, more discussed in general.
Yeah.
How there's a lot of content out there around how like men can be lonely in their own thoughts as dads, and as what they deal with, and kind of like keep it to themselves. And so, if you know, you know, is another aspect of that too. It's like we all go through our own like internal struggles, confidence, ego, all these things that I think if we're part of a community of other dads, then we can kind of relate to that and know what it what it all entails.
Yeah.
I swear I've ran into other people that like have dad gang hats, and they're like, man, no, I know what it's like, and it's cool to be a part of this community because I would like struggle with being depressed or down about certain situations, and this hat is giving me energy. So
Wow.
yeah, there's it's a few aspects to that thing on the side, but we've had some comments like, "Can you please take that off? I think it'll look cooler." I'm like, "No, it's not coming off.
Really?
It's
That's
staying." So
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, you know, opinions are that everybody's got them, and I think it's a valid like, oh, maybe I don't like things on the side of my hat, but for us, that thing's super meaningful, and it's just got to stay.
Yeah. No, I like that actually. It's funny you say that because I remember a buddy of mine, a close friend of mine, he had said, I was like, dude, I have no idea what I'm gonna be doing. I'm not sure. Cause people will ask you, are you ready? Are you ready? And the answer is no. Even if you think you are, you're not like 100%, you don't know. And
Yeah,
he was like, for me, I had no idea what I was gonna do. Soon as my son was born for him, he said, as soon as my son was born, it's like, you start just instincts start kicking in and you just start doing things that they need or whatever. And I'm just like, that just doesn't sound real. It doesn't sound, and it is, it's so real. So yeah, if you know,
oh
now
yeah,
I know.
yeah. You get these random superpowers that you didn't even know existed, and um, yeah, it's kind of like a play on, kids should consider their dad their superhero, or I feel like that's what you should kind of strive towards as a father, um, and being a good role model. But yeah, you get all these new ambitions and superpowers, and not everybody. I think like it
Sure.
depends how you deal with it, but you do have this new North Star, and I've always said like I kind of live by this, but like nobody wants you to do better than you, or sorry, nobody, everybody wants you to see you do great, but not better than them.
Right.
It's kind of this like, besides your parents,
Mm, mm-hmm.
they're like the one, yeah, they're the only people that really are like, I hope they do better than me and like pass on, wisdom and experiences. But like, other than that, it's usually like people love to see you do well, but not better than them.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, so besides your parents, and I feel like that, yeah, a lot goes into that if you know, because if you understand these things after becoming a parent, and this goes for moms too, it's like, okay, now you understand what that person was going through, and what your parents were going through too. Um, they had no clue what they were doing,
No
but they
kidding.
figured it out along the way.
Yeah. All right. One of the things that we talked about today, that we really you kind of emphasized was how important, how big time the group text was. And most of the time when you think of a
Yeah.
group text, it's like we're throwing memes in there, we're having fun, or it's a family thing. Hey, this is what's going on in our family, whatever.
Yeah.
How would you speak to, somebody that's trying to get things started and they're like, you know what, I want advice. I want, somebody that's going to lift me up in a group text. Like who do you need to have in your group text? Like what personalities are in the group text that make you go, okay, this is going to lift me up.
Yeah, and all the ones you named, I'm also a part of. So I just
Right.
have a complete time. I have a complete time wasting group text that's been live for like 15 years. Uh, it's called Tiho, to each his own,
Okay.
because we a lot of like different personalities in there, but we're all great friends and we don't all agree on anything. Like we agree on some things, but like there's a whole lot of different personalities when it comes to everything in life, and like, but we're all really good friends. Um, so we named it Tiho because it was like we all we're all like close and we love each other, but we are all entitled to think whatever we want. So this thread goes off daily, I feel like, and sometimes it's a problem. But so I'm a part of that, and then a family thread, and then EJ and Grant too. Like that dad gang thread was really just another kind of like thread of guys chatting about dad stuff and funny things. But like Grant and I went to college together, and I've known him since like 2008. So known him for a while, and then EJ since probably like 2010. And Grant and I have always like built things together on the side, things that just like completely didn't work, failed, all this other stuff. But we've always just been like, we're just brothers at this point, just not biologically.
Mm.
And so we're always like trying to build stuff. Um, and so I'm just always trying to keep around people that are ambitious in their own regard. And even those guys in Tiho, they're all like, they all do their own thing for like as a job. There's
Yeah.
a guy in there that's a podcaster, a guy that in there that hosts events, a stock trader, um, a guy that is a MC or a host and works with big brands and professional teams. Like, I don't know, they say that the quote you've seen everywhere, like surround yourself with the people you like want to kind of be like or grow from, or you can surround yourself with negative energy and become that. And I've just like long time ago kind of swore to not hang out with anybody that's like an energy vampire per se, that
Sure.
kind of makes you feel down about anything. Like people can, crack jokes and make fun of each other. I think that's great, but like downplaying and hating on anything somebody wants to do in their life there's just like no room for that. So I try to stick around people that enjoy that. Like if you were to tell me like, hey, I love playing the banjo, I want to start banjo gang next week, I'm like, dude, do it. Let me know if I can help. Like there's I don't want to be around people that like doubt what you're after. And so I would encourage anybody that has that in their life to just get rid of it or have a talk with that person. Like, hey man, just want to let you know, like you're really downing anything I'm saying. Can we not? And
Right.
then move
Yeah.
on from there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bart, I really appreciate you being on the podcast for the second
Yeah.
time. So you're now like a frequent flyer here,
Two-time
but
guest. That's big.
yeah, exactly. So no, I really wish you guys the very best. I love your stuff.
Thank
I've
you.
seen a lot of people that really love it. Obviously, celebrities love it. It's not just a certain group. It's everybody that is a part of the dad gang. So I'm really pumped to see that it's doing well. You're a good guy, so I root for you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, but thanks again for being on. Wish you the very best of luck moving forward, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next. Do you have any
Yeah,
insight on
thank
what's
you.
next?
Um, we have we have more hats coming out. That's
All
kind of
right.
like the thing right now. But we do have this
Ooh,
beanie coming out.
let's go.
It's like a waffle knit, which is super nice quality. I posted it on our Instagram just as like a little teaser that we're working on it, but it really feels like angels and like sheep blended together on your head.
Wow.
And then on the back, it's kind of like this embossed, if you know, you know. So we're doing a few colors of this. We have a all like corduroy collection coming out. So
Sweet.
like corduroy texture throughout the crown and the bill. And then, you know, I think we're going to keep doing some of these like collaborations with athletes and or, you know, just personalities. They don't have to be athletes, but I think like after doing the Mookie thing, we'd love to do some more with him. And then we'd also just love to like keep sharing fatherhood stories with these guys and non-celebrities too, like just making content around like what it's like to be a dad, because we put it out there and you're like, man, thank you. Finally, somebody gets it. And so to put out a bit more of that conversation would be great.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thanks
Yeah.
again, man. I
And
really do appreciate it.
Hey, I was just going to add congrats to you too. I've seen the podcast grow. It's like, I was just watching, I was at the gym this morning, sitting in the sauna, watching more of your like real episodes and stuff. So it's really cool to see what it's grown into and some of the guests you have on.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate that. It's funny because whenever I listen back to the one that we did a few years ago, I talked about how I had like a pair of socks that was from your brand. And I was like, well, I forgot that I don't even have a video to show it. So we moved into video. So yeah. So thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Of course. No problem.
Awesome. Well, you know what? Maybe we can do this again. Maybe fast forward a year or two and see where we're at. And, you know, you're on this, you know, huge hill in LA at the highest mansion, whatever it is. I don't know. We'll see where you're at.
No, I don't want those California taxes. I'm okay.
Yeah, no, I got you.